The noise echoed through the first-class cabin as two security officers rushed in. Just seconds before, no one could have imagined this scene. A man in a tailored suit, titanium glasses glinting under the cabin lights, being dragged from his seat like a common troublemaker. Phones shot up. Cameras swung to capture it all. Whispers rippled like waves. What is happening? That man was Darius King, 46, founder and CEO of Sentinel Shield Security, a billion-dollar cybersecurity company. But in that moment, with his arms pinned tight, his leather briefcase on the floor, and papers scattering across the aisle, he was no longer a symbol of success. He was just the black man dragged from his seat. Darius did not shout. He did not resist. He looked straight into a passenger's phone camera, eyes steady, breath heavy, but voice deep and calm. "This is my seat. I have a valid ticket, and I will leave under protest." The words sank into the tense air, but they planted the seed of a storm that would erupt hours later. The San Francisco morning was cool, sunlight piercing through the glass of a high rise. Darius stood before the mirror in his penthouse. His close, cropped salt and pepper hair, sharp features, and 6'2" frame were still solid despite years buried in boardrooms. He adjusted his navy tie. The reflection staring back at him was a man who had beaten every statistic, defied every prejudice, and risen to the peak of tech. "The car is waiting downstairs, sir," came the voice of Nadia Brooks, his 29-year-old assistant, over the intercom. "Thank you. Have the documents been uploaded?" All secured on the server, and White Tech confirmed the 4 p.m. meeting. Mr. Park does not like delays. Darius nodded slightly, a faint smile crossing his face. The $500 million merger in Chicago awaited him. It was more than a deal. It was a legacy, a chance to rewrite tech history, to build the most diverse leadership team in the industry. At check-in, the attendant greeted him with a polished smile. "Welcome, Mr. King. We've upgraded you to 2A, first-class premium, as a thank you." For a rare moment, Darius felt recognition without a fight. He smiled politely in return. In the lounge, he reviewed the contract again. Every figure, every chart, everything ready. His life, from the boy in Harlem building computers out of discarded parts, to an MIT scholarship, to hundreds of rejections from venture capitalists, had led to this moment. The 10:30 flight was the final step. The cabin gleamed. Wide leather seats, warm wood panels, champagne flutes sparkling. He chose water, keeping his mind sharp. The white men around him cast fleeting looks, familiar glances that asked, "Does he belong here?" Darius was used to it. He opened his laptop, refining his presentation. Then it began. Flight attendant Brittany Hale, blonde hair, forced smile, kept glancing at the door. From there strode Colin Mercer, 52, a luxury watch flashing on his wrist, his voice booming. "I always sit here. Seat 2A is mine." Brittany dipped her head, then turned to Darius with that awkward smile. "Sir, there seems to be a seating mix-up. Could you please move to another seat?" Darius looked up, his gaze calm. "My ticket is for 2A. There is no mix-up." Mercer tilted his chin, not even glancing at the boarding pass Darius held out. "Do you understand? I'm a loyal customer. This is always my seat." Brittany rushed in. "We can arrange premium economy with partial reimbursement." Premium economy? A billionaire CEO with a valid first-class ticket being asked to step down to an upgraded coach seat? Darius swallowed his anger, his voice firm. "No, I purchased this seat. I will sit here." Passengers began whispering. Some averted their eyes, some stared, waiting for drama. Darius felt the humiliation rising, but under the table, he slid his phone, camera recording. Carolyn Tate, the cabin supervisor, approached. Her eyes went straight to Mercer. "We apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Mercer. We'll resolve this immediately." Then she turned to Darius, her tone sharp. "Sir, you must change seats or deplane. You are delaying the flight." Darius exhaled slowly. "I am not delaying anything. I am simply sitting in the seat I purchased." A signal. 2 security officers appeared. "Sir, please come with us." "On what grounds?" Darius asked. No answer. Only the rough grip of hands tightening around his arms. His briefcase fell, papers scattering. "My documents!" he shouted. But he was hauled away. The last image before the cabin door closed, Mercer settling comfortably into 2A, raising a glass of champagne, a smug smile across his face. The airport corridor stretched long under fluorescent lights. The security officer's footsteps echoed with each step. Darius walked between them, shoulders straight, eyes bright. In Seoul, the humiliation burned. But deeper still, one thought thundered. They chose the wrong man to humiliate. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. The echo of security boots pounded hold against the marble floor of O'Hare Airport. Every eye turned toward the man in a suit, pinned between 2 guards like a criminal. Phones shot up, lenses darted to capture every angle. Some whispered with pity, others watched with a mix of fascination and morbid curiosity. In the middle of those stares, Darius King did not lower his head. His shoulders stayed square, his eyes sharp, as if etching every detail into memory. The color of the watch on the guard's wrist, the indifferent scowl of the cabin supervisor, the mocking glance of Mercer settling into seat 2A. All of it, Darius would turn into evidence, into a weapon. The steel door shut behind him, the fluorescent-lit room reeking of disinfectant. Harold Quinn, a 55-year-old security manager, stepped forward with a clipboard in hand. His voice was flat and cold as he read, "You are being removed from the flight for disruptive behavior, refusing to comply with crew instructions." Darius let out a laugh, sharp as a blade. "Disruptive? I sat in the seat I purchased. None of you bothered to check my ticket. You just listened to a white passenger and dragged me out." Quinn raised an eyebrow, trying to mask arrogance with neutrality. "This is procedure, Mr. King." "No," Darius replied firmly. "This is discrimination, and I will not let it pass in silence." He checked his watch, 11:45. The Chicago flight had already taken off, carrying with it million-dollar opportunities and the documents left behind in the cabin. His 4 p.m. meeting with Ethan Park, CEO of White Tech, was in jeopardy. A decade of preparation teetered on collapse in the span of a morning. He drew a deep breath and locked eyes with Quinn. "I need to make a call." After a pause, Quinn gestured to a desk phone in the corner. 3 minutes. Darius dialed the familiar number, His voice rough but unwavering as Nadia Brooks, his assistant, picked up. "Emergency change of plans. I won't make it by 4 p. Call Park. Push the meeting to tonight or tomorrow morning. Tell him this was beyond my control." On the other end, Nadia's voice cracked with alarm. "He's already called twice. Fortress is making a stronger offer. If you don't show, the deal is gone." Darius closed his eyes, a stab of pain tightening in his chest, not only for the merger, but for Mercer's smug threat echoing in his head. "I always sit here." "Call Andre Lawson," Darius said, his voice regaining its steel. "Tell him I need him in Chicago immediately. Prepare all legal filings. This is no longer just about a flight." Andre Lawson, 47, a leading civil rights attorney and his childhood friend from Harlem. They had drifted apart, buried in their careers. But Darius knew, if anyone understood the truth behind systemic bias, it was Andre. In that moment, the decision was made. This was no longer about protecting a deal. This was about protecting dignity, for himself, for those who had always been quietly pushed aside. Quinn slid a report across the table. "Sign here, acknowledging disruptive behavior." Darius scanned the words, his lips curving into a bitter smile. "You really think I'll sign a lie like this?" Quinn's tone hardened. "If you refuse, the airline reserves the right to deny you service in the future." Darius lifted his head, eyes sharp as knives. "Go ahead and try. But before you file another report, this video will already be online. And I assure you, the public will care more than you imagine." He tapped the phone in his breast pocket. Yes, those few minutes of secret footage were the key, the fuse. As his belongings were returned, one of the younger guards, Ryan Keene, 41, cast Darius a troubled glance. He said nothing, but the flicker of regret was there. A stark contrast to Marco Diaz, 37, who remained rigid, his eyes hard with disdain. Darius noticed. He understood. In every corrupted system, some were swept along, while others knew it was wrong, but lacked the courage to resist. Out of the security office, Darius sat in a quiet corner of the terminal and opened the video. Frame by frame, Mercer's arrogance, Carolyn's bias, Brittany's unease, the brutal tug of security. And then the cutting words rang out clearly. "He doesn't belong here." His finger hovered over the delete button. Erase it, bury it as a nightmare, or keep it, ignite a storm. His eyes hardened. From deep in memory, his mother's voice whispered, "You can lose everything, but never your dignity." Darius saved the video to a secure server. No deletion, no hiding. He would turn it into proof, into a weapon for change. Outside, flights continued. Passengers bustled. The world seemed indifferent to a black CEO being dragged from his rightful seat. But inside Darius, a storm had risen. He was no longer just a businessman on his way to a deal. He was a witness, soon to be a plaintiff, and he vowed they would regret underestimating the man in seat 2A. Chicago's night spread like cold steel. From the 30th floor window, the city's lights stretched endlessly. But inside Andre Lawson's office, the air was taut like a drawn wire. Andre, 47, square, jawed with piercing brown eyes, listened as Darius recounted every detail, from sitting down in seat 2A to the brutal yank of security, to Colin Mercer's triumphant sneer. Each word fell like a stone into still water, sending ripples of anger through the room. Andre folded his arms, leaning back in the leather chair, then snapped. "They handed you a lawsuit you cannot lose, Darius. But this isn't just about suing an airline. This is a takedown campaign. Mercer wasn't there by chance. I smell conspiracy." He pressed the intercom. "Bring the team in." The door opened. 3 figures entered, each carrying a piece of the puzzle. Sophia Reyes, 32, communications strategist with sharp eyes and hair tied back in curls. "This story will explode in the media. Your video is digital gold, but it must be released at the right time, in the right way." Daniel Wu, 44, corporate lawyer, glasses perched, clutching a stack of files. "If Mercer is a VP at Fortress Cyber, we dig deeper. Side deals, money transfers, hidden ties. They may have set you up to sabotage the merger." Kiara Johnson, 39, famed civil rights attorney, known for fire and steel. "They didn't just insult you. They wanted to show the world that even a black CEO can be dragged from his seat like a nobody. This case is symbolic." Darius looked at each face. In their eyes, he saw not only skill, but fire. Andre rose, marker in hand, and scrawled across the whiteboard. "Legal front. Kiara drafts charges for discrimination, assault, and economic damages. Daniel investigates Fortress, money trails, secret agreements, Mercer's involvement. Public front. Sophia builds a media campaign. Not loud outrage, but cold truth." The image of Darius calm and composed as he was dragged away, that was the power. "We don't just react," Andre concluded. "We go on the offensive." Darius leaned back, eyes closed for a moment. His mother's image returned. Calloused hands, tired shoulders after late night shifts. She once told him, "Hold your head high. When they try to pull you down, let your true self rise above." But he knew the cost this time could be brutal. Losing the deal, losing investor trust, possibly losing the company itself. Sensing his hesitation, Sophia softened her tone. "Mr. King, if you stay silent, the airline pays a few million, Fortress wins the contract, and everything fades into obscurity. But young people out there will see a black man at the top, still forced to bow his head. The question is, what legacy do you want to leave?" Daniel's fingers flew across his laptop. He looked up, urgency in his voice. "I just found something." On the screen, leaked Fortress emails glowed. One line burned. "Ensure King doesn't make the meeting. Mercer will handle it. Park must see we're more reliable." The room went still. Andre clenched his fists. "This isn't chance. This is deliberate sabotage." Darius rose, every eye fixed on him. "All my life I believed success would make me untouchable. But today, they reminded me. In their eyes, I am still just a black man, taking a seat they don't think belongs to me. If I stay silent, I am complicit. If I fight, I could lose everything. But I know this. I cannot stay silent." He turned to Andre. "We strike back, not just for me, but for everyone who has ever been pushed out of their rightful seat." Sophia tapped rapidly on her tablet. I'll contact Zoe Campbell, National Times. Pulitzer finalist. Trustworthy, not tabloid. Chiara flipped open a file. I'll draft the complaint. Tomorrow morning, I want a preliminary case ready. Daniel nodded. I'll follow the money. If Fortress is in, they will pay. Andre locked eyes with Darius. Are you ready for war? Darius clenched his fist, voice low and hard as steel. I was born into war. But this time, we win. Late night. The office glowed bright. Whiteboard covered in notes. Laptops open. Files stacked high. Phones ringing non-stop. At the center, Darius stood with arms folded, gazing out the window. Chicago's lights mirrored in his eyes. Outside, the world had no idea a storm was gathering. But he knew, when dawn came, not only National Airlines and Fortress, but the entire industry would shake. Morning in Chicago drifted in with fog over Lake Michigan. But inside the newsroom of the National Times, the atmosphere burned like fire. Zoe Campbell, 44-1, a Pulitzer-nominated journalist, typed furiously. Every word and every sentence an arrow aimed directly at the truth. CEO Darius King, forcibly removed from a valid first-class seat. Racism or corporate sabotage? The lead photo showed Darius with his back straight and his eyes calm as he was dragged away. It was no longer the image of a man defeated, but of a symbol. At National Airlines Communications Office, chaos reigned. CEO Franklin Pierce, 62, face flushed red, roared at his assistant. Why is this video spreading so fast? I want a report now. Who authorized Thornton to have a permanent claim on that seat? The airline's stock plummeted 12% in an hour. On social media, #Justice for Darius surged to the top of trending. Across town, Fortress Cyber shook as well. CEO Michael Harrington slammed a file onto the table. Get Colin Mercer on the phone now. His stunt has put the whole company in the spotlight. Prepare a press release. We cut ties with him immediately. But Mercer had disappeared. His phone switched off. In a limousine rolling down Michigan Avenue, Darius quietly monitored the news on his tablet. Numbers flashed. Video views. 3 million in 2 hours. National Airlines stock down 15%. Fortress down 8% and falling. Sophia leaned in with her report. CNN, MSNBC, Bloomberg, all want you on air right now. But I recommend we hold silence for a few more hours. Let the public outrage build first, then you appear as the lighthouse. Darius nodded. He understood. Silence, used wisely, was a strategy. At White Tech Industries' glass-walled boardroom, CEO Ethan Park, 53, fielded dozens of calls. Executives fretted. King is now at the center of a scandal. Partnering with him could drag us into crisis. Park frowned, but as he watched the video, his eyes shifted. Darius did not scream, did not strike back. He sat with dignity while being humiliated. Park whispered, "This is not a scandal. This is a moral test." By noon, Fortress issued a statement. The actions of Vice President Colin Mercer were personal and do not represent the company. Fortress Cyber remains committed to diversity and equity. Sophia scoffed as she read it. Too late. The internet is already digging up 3 past labor discrimination cases Fortress quietly settled. They think they can escape? Andre cut in. But don't underestimate them. They won't sit still. I bet they are already planning to smear you, to paint you as opportunistic. That afternoon, a 72-year-old woman called Andre's office. Her voice trembled but was firm. "I am Emma Blackwell. I sat right behind Mr. King on that flight. I recorded a video, and I heard Mercer on the phone say, 'Don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't make the meeting.' I can't stay silent anymore." Andre turned to Darius. The room froze for several seconds. This was the missing piece, the evidence that this was not just discrimination, but deliberate sabotage. Darius exhaled deeply, leaning back. The weight pressed harder on his shoulders, protecting the White Tech deal, waging legal war with national airlines, exposing Fortress and Mercer. Sweat dotted his brow, but his eyes still blazed. He knew danger was escalating. Anonymous threats had already arrived in his email. Private security had been reinforced. Kiara ended the evening meeting with steel in her voice. "They think you'll back down to protect your company. But once you've chosen this path, Darius, there is no turning back." Near midnight in his hotel room, Darius checked his phone. A message from his mother lit the screen. "I saw you on TV. Your father would be proud. Son, don't let them take your dignity." Tears pricked his eyes. He smiled faintly and whispered, "I promise, Mum. I will not let seat 2A be a stain. I will make it a symbol." While the city of Chicago sank into sleep, Andre's office still glowed with light. On the wall, the whiteboard was crowded with plans. Legal, media, alliances. At the center, Darius stood with arms crossed, eyes fixed on the projected frame of Mercer's smirk. "Tomorrow," he said, voice low but resonant. "We strike first, and they will learn that dragging me from seat 2A was the biggest mistake of their lives." The next morning, Chicago was gray, a fine drizzle falling. In the hotel where Darius was staying, an entire floor had been turned into a war room. On the wall, screens displayed live statistics, millions of video shares, hundreds of international articles. The hashtag #JusticeForDarius still at the very top. Sophia, eyes ringed from a sleepless night, still reported briskly. "National Airlines has lost another $600 million in market value. Fortress has dropped 11%. But White Tech, they are wavering. Their investment board wants a definitive answer before 3 this afternoon." Andre glanced at his watch. "That gives us less than 5 hours to shape the story. If Fortress seizes the narrative, the deal will collapse." At that moment, the big screen lit up with breaking news. Fortress CEO Michael Harrington appeared on CNBC. His voice was steady, his face solemn, carrying an air of authority. "We regret what Mr. King experienced," Harrington said. "But for him to turn a personal incident into an organized media campaign right before negotiations raises serious questions. Is this really a coincidence or a staged maneuver?" Every word was chosen to plant seeds of doubt. Sophia hissed through her teeth. "That's the smear. They want to paint you as an opportunist." Darius folded his arms, eyes like steel. "If they think I will remain silent, they do not know me." Emma Blackwell, a 72-year-old woman with a humble presence, entered the room. Darius rose to greet her. gratitude in his eyes. "You don't have to do this," he said. Emma smiled softly. "I stayed silent for 50 years in the face of injustice. I don't want to die with one more slants. Let me tell what I heard Mercer say." Andre nodded, his voice solemn. "You will be the key. Not an accusation, but a witness." Kiara opened her laptop, laying out the plan. "We hold a press conference at 2 o'clock, 1 hour before White Tech's board meeting. If we release the evidence in front of the public then, White Tech will have no reason to back away." Darius was silent for a few moments. He thought of nervous shareholders, of his employees at Sentinel Shield, of poor students on scholarship from his foundation. One wrong move, and all could be lost. Then he spoke softly but firmly. "We will go public. The truth will protect us, not silence." At the Marriott Hotel in downtown Chicago, more than 200 reporters crowded in, cameras trained on the podium. Flashbulbs strobed, the air thick with expectation. At exactly 2, the doors opened. Darius entered, followed by Andre, Kiara, Sophia, Daniel, and most striking of all, Emma Blackwell leaning on her cane. Murmurs rippled. "Who is that?" "A real witness." Darius stood tall, his voice steady, needing no microphone. 5 days ago, I was dragged from my rightful seat. But what happened was not just discrimination. It was a conspiracy to bring me down, to sabotage a $500 million deal. And I have proof. Andre signaled. The large screen played the video. Mercer's arrogance, Carolyn Tate's bias, the security guards dragging Darius away. The room fell silent, but for heavy breathing. Emma stepped to the microphone, her voice trembling yet clear. "I heard Mercer on the phone say, 'Don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't make the meeting.' He laughed as they dragged Mr. King out. I cannot stay silent anymore." Pens scratched furiously. Cameras clicked in rapid fire. Daniel presented next. "We uncovered internal Fortress emails referring to ensuring King is absent. This is not speculation. This is evidence of corporate sabotage." Sophia followed, her voice resolute. "This is not just the story of one CEO. This is the story of thousands who have been pushed from their seats because of prejudice. And today, we say enough." In the middle of the press conference, reporters' phones buzzed wildly. Breaking news. Fortress stock had fallen another 17% in just 20 minutes. National Airlines had lost 20% of its market value. The hashtag #BoycottFortress erupted across social media. A reporter stood and asked, "Mr. King, are you not afraid this will kill your deal with White Tech?" Darius looked straight into the lens. Each word he spoke landed like a hammer. "If a deal requires me to sell my dignity to achieve it, then it is not a deal I want. But I trust White Tech is smarter than that." The press room exploded at his words. Reporters clamored with more questions. But in that moment, the image of Darius, calm, unyielding, standing for the truth, had already become a symbol broadcast across live screens. Across the city, White Tech CEO Ethan Park sat in his boardroom, watching the TV in silence. His executives turned to him, awaiting his decision. Park clenched the pen in his hand, his eyes blazing. "We will not abandon King. We need a partner like that." That afternoon, the Chicago sky broke open with a rare patch of light after the rain. But inside the 40-story glass tower of White Tech Industries, the atmosphere was thick and heavy. The investment board sat around a long oak table, their eyes fixed on the big screen, replaying the press conference. On the screen, Darius stood firm before the press, his voice resonating. "If a deal requires me to sell my dignity to achieve it, then it is not a deal I need." The room was silent. Then CEO Ethan Park put his pen down on the table, his voice deep and steady. "This is the partner I want, a man who values dignity above stock price." Some investors still hesitated, but Fortress is promising an extra 5% in profits and guaranteed fast approval. Park turned back, his eyes hard. Fortress just revealed its true face to the entire world. If we partner with them, investors will ask one question: whose side does White Tech stand on? I choose to stand on the right side. The decision was sealed. Darius did not yet know it, but the most important battle had already tilted in his favor. In the office of CEO Franklin Pierce, the phones rang non-stop. Reports poured in. Stock down 23%. Ticket cancellations up 40% in one day. Multiple sponsorship contracts pulled. Pierce clawed at his hair, roaring, "Get me Diane Reynolds, Brittany Hale, and both security officers. Suspend them all, and prepare a public statement. I will not let this company die over seat 2A. But his assistant whispered, "Sir, you should see the new video." The screen lit up with Emma Blackwell's recording, Mercer's voice clear. "Don't worry, I'll make sure he doesn't make the meeting." Pierce's face went pale. He understood instantly. This was not just a flight attendant's mistake. This was a plot involving a competitor, and National Airlines was at the eye of the storm. That evening, CNN aired a special segment. An anonymous source appeared, voice distorted, face blurred, claiming to have worked at Sentinel Shield, alleging that Darius repeatedly favored minority hires while overlooking other qualified candidates. Sophia slammed the table. "This is clearly Fortress paying someone to fabricate a story." Kiara frowned. "The problem is public opinion is quick to doubt. A scratch can be exaggerated into a wound." Darius sat silent for a few moments, then gave a faint smile. "Let them dig. I am not afraid of the truth. Sentinel Shield was built on fairness, not as a slogan, but as policy. We will release our hiring records, our diversity data. Light will shatter the shadows." Andre picked up his phone, dialing a familiar number. The voice of Regina Carter, CEO of a major healthcare conglomerate and longtime ally in equality efforts, came through. "Regina, it's time. I need public backing from the community of Black leaders." Regina replied immediately. "I'll convene the group. If they dare smear one of us, they will face all of us." That very night, over a dozen Black and Latinx CEOs from different industries signed a statement of support for Darius. The message spread. The theft of seat 2A from Darius King is a reminder that any of us can be a target, and we will not remain silent. Late at night, Darius sat alone by the hotel window. The city glittered with lights, but his mind was in turmoil. A text appeared from his mother. "Son, I know they are striking at you hard. But remember this, your father always said, You do not need to win in everyone's eyes. You just need to stand firm in your own. He closed his eyes, drawing a long breath. Tomorrow would be the turning point. The next morning at Andre's law office, the team gathered. On the screen, the breaking headlines scrolled. White Tech preparing official announcement. National Airlines calling an emergency board meeting. Fortress tripling its PR budget. Hiring counter-attack teams. Andre looked around the table. We must stay one step ahead. At 11, White Tech holds their press conference. If they announce the partnership, Fortress will strike back with everything they have. We need to be ready with our heaviest evidence. Kiara produced a thick dossier. We have gathered enough internal emails, witness statements, irregular financial reports from Fortress. Once released, they will not escape. Darius nodded firmly. Today, everything will be decided. This is no longer about one seat. This is about who deserves a seat at the head of an entire industry. 11 o'clock approached. The White Tech press room in Chicago filled to capacity. Reporters jostled for space, lenses aimed at the podium. The entire tech world, millions of viewers, waited to see. Whom would White Tech choose? Fortress, the wealthy, powerful company now tainted with scandal, or Sentinel Shield under Darius King, the man humiliated yet unbroken. Darius adjusted his tie, his eyes shining with determination. In his heart, his father's words echoed, "You must choose to be the right man, not the easy man." The doors to the press room swung open. Flashbulbs exploded, and the game of power was about to enter its decisive round. That morning, the White Tech press room was packed. Over 300 reporters squeezed into the hall, cameras lined up shoulder to shoulder, floodlights blazing down on the podium. The tension was so thick one could hear the pounding of hearts in the room. The doors opened. Ethan Park, CEO of White Tech, walked out with a calm posture, but his eyes burned with resolve. He stopped, placed his hand on the microphone, and looked directly into the sea of lenses. "Ladies and gentlemen," Park began, his voice deep but carrying power. "In recent days, the public has been shaken by events involving CEO Darius King. We have monitored closely and weighed carefully. Today, I have two important announcements." The entire hall fell silent. Park lifted his head. First, White Tech is officially selecting Sentinel Shield as our strategic partner. The $500 million merger will be signed this week. A wave of whispers and camera clicks rippled, then erupted into a storm of noise. Stock alerts flashed across screens. Sentinel Shield jumped 14% in just 10 minutes. In the hotel room where Darius and his strategy team watched the live stream, Sophia threw her arms around Andre, her eyes brimming with tears. "We did it!" she cried. Darius only smiled, his gaze bright with pride. But he knew the next declaration would be the final blow. Park raised his hand for silence. Second, White Tech will terminate all existing contracts with Fortress Cyber, effective immediately. Because we cannot partner with a company that humiliates its rivals while enabling discrimination. The words detonated like a bomb. Reporters surged forward, microphones thrust out. Breaking headlines blasted, Fortress loses hundreds of millions in contracts. At Fortress headquarters, CEO Michael Harrington's face turned pale. Phones rang non-stop, investors shouted. A trembling CFO reported, Shares down 31%. 3 major funds just pulled out. If we don't stop this, we will lose liquidity." Harrington roared, "Find Mercer. He dragged us into this pit. If we must, throw all the blame on him." But Mercer was holed up in a cheap motel on the outskirts of town. The glow of the television lit his hollow face. The broadcast replayed White Tech cutting ties with Fortress. His hands shook as he poured another glass of liquor. The world he thought he controlled was now crushing him. Just as Darius's team celebrated, Kiara received an urgent email from an anonymous address. She opened it, eyes widening. "My God! Everyone look at this!" On the screen was a scan of Fortress's internal contract, with a note. Mercer was only a pawn. The man behind it is Harrington. He gave the direct order. Andre frowned. "Who sent this?" "No idea, but the metadata points to inside Fortress. Someone on the inside may be turning traitor." Darius narrowed his eyes, sensing a deeper layer. The war was not over. Fortress would not collapse easily, and now someone within wanted to drag the ship down with them. Meanwhile, Franklin Searsama, CEO of National Airlines, sat slumped in his office, his face contorted. Their promise of an internal investigation had been mocked by the public, while shares continued to free fall. His aide rushed in, panicked. "3 major law firms have refused to represent us. The pilots' union just demanded your resignation. We are on the verge of collapse." Pierce gripped his chair. He knew. Either he conceded and accepted Darius's demands for reform, or the company would dissolve. That afternoon, the group reconvened in Andre's office. News of White Tech dominated every channel, but on the table lay a new dossier, proof of Harrington's direct involvement. Sophia spoke quickly. "If we release this now, Fortress will collapse completely, but they will retaliate with everything they have. And don't forget, National Airlines has not yet bent the knee." Darius drummed his fingers on the table, lost in thought. Inside him rang a question. Should he strike the finishing blow now, or hold back and use it as leverage? Andre looked him squarely in the eye. "Do you want to be the hero or the strategist? Sometimes you must know when to hit and when to hold back to force your enemy to destroy themselves." Night fell. The city glowed neon, streets alive with motion. Darius stood alone at the window of a high rise, gazing down. 2 currents tangled in his chest, the hunger for justice and the responsibility to safeguard his company. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number lit the screen. "I have more evidence on Fortress. Meet me, 9 a.m. tomorrow, if you want to end this war." Darius closed his eyes. The storm had not cleared. Tomorrow he would face a choice: crush Fortress immediately, or use them as a pawn to force National Airlines into surrender. He whispered, "The game has only just begun." The next morning, the Chicago sky was heavy and dark, clouds stacked like omens of a coming storm. Darius sat in the back of an armored SUV, eyes fixed on the world outside the window, hand gripping a thick folder. The anonymous message from last night still glowed on his phone. "I have proof. 9 a.m. Riverfront Cafe." Andre sat beside him, voice steady and low. It could be a trap, but if it's real, this is the strike that will finish Harrington. Darius nodded. We have no other choice. As long as Fortress is still breathing, they will strike back. The riverfront cafe was small, tucked beneath a rusted steel bridge. Inside, the smell of roasted beans mixed with the damp of the river. When Darius entered, a man in a dark coat was already seated, cap pulled low over his face. He looked up. Jeremy Collins, Fortress's Vice President of Operations, once Harrington's right hand. "Mr. King," Jeremy rasped, voice hoarse. "I can't stomach it anymore. Harrington gave the order. Mercer was only a pawn. He wanted to destroy your white tech deal at any cost." Darius's gaze cut into him. "Why speak now? Regret or bargaining?" Jeremy let out a bitter laugh. "Both. I know Fortress is sinking. I want to survive. Here." He placed a USB drive on the table. Emails, recordings, payment records. Harrington paid off a National Airlines supervisor to stage the 2A incident. This is the proof you need. Andre picked it up carefully. Kiara narrowed her eyes. "We'll need to verify. Why should we trust you?" Jeremy braced his arms on the table, voice cracking. "Because I'm the one who signed the transfers. If you want Harrington brought down, I'm the chain tied to his ankle." Darius stayed silent for a beat, then nodded. "If you betray us again, I'll make sure you sink with him." Jeremy bowed his head. "I have nothing left to lose." Meanwhile, in the glass tower of National Airlines, CEO Franklin Pierce stared at a wall of grim headlines. Shares in free fall, the pilots' union threatening to strike, passengers cancelling en masse. A senior advisor whispered, "You're out of options. King can finish you today. Best to negotiate, accept his terms for reform." Pierce exhaled, his lined face sagging. He knew, either bow to Darius or lose the legacy of 30 years. Back at Andre's office, the team crowded around a screen. Daniel Wu slid the USB into his laptop. Files spilled open. Internal Fortress emails, recordings of Harrington's cold voice. "Make sure he doesn't get that seat. I don't want King in that white tech meeting. Do whatever it takes, but keep him away from Park." Sophia's breath caught. "My God, this is the kill shot." Kiara's fingers flew across her keyboard. "I'll fold it into the case. This isn't just discrimination anymore. This is cross-industry sabotage." Darius leaned back, eyes burning with a hard flame. "It's time to force both Fortress and National Airlines to their knees." Andre dialed Pierce's office directly, voice sharp as steel. "Pierce, you have one last chance. Meet Darius King in person. If not, we go public with the evidence, and by tomorrow, your company is finished." A long silence, then Pierce's voice, shaking. "Fine. 7 p.m., the Drake Hotel. I'll be there." As the afternoon waned, Darius sat alone in his hotel room. In the mirror, he saw the dark circles under his eyes, the wear of sleepless nights. But he also saw something else. The Harlem boy who once built computers from scraps. The man who climbed to the peak of technology. And now, the symbol who was dragged from seat 2A, but rose again unbroken. He whispered, "They thought they humiliated me, but they handed me the chance to rewrite the rules." 7:00 p.m. The Drake's lobby glowed, reporters blocked outside. Inside a closed meeting room, Darius entered. Across from him sat Franklin Pierce, haggard, eyes rimmed red. Pierce spoke softly, his voice weighed down. "Mr. King, I'm here to apologize and to negotiate. National Airlines will accept every condition you demand: bias training, appointing a diversity officer, reforming our grievance system. I ask only one thing: don't let us die live on television." Darius stared into him. Inside, he felt two storms collide: rage that wanted to crush his opponent, and reason that reminded him of tens of thousands of innocent employees whose livelihoods hung in the balance. He drew a long, steady breath. "Mr. Pierce, tonight it isn't just you at the scales. This is the moment the entire airline industry faces history." Outside the window, the city lights spilled in, illuminating Darius's face, unyielding, resolute. He was about to give an answer that would decide not only the fate of National Airlines, but the war with Fortress itself. In that moment, he understood. Seat 2A was no longer just a chair. It was the symbol of the right to be seen, the right to be respected, and the right to change the rules. Inside the closed meeting room of the Drake Hotel, the yellow light cast across the face of Franklin Pierce, CEO of National Airlines. He slumped in his chair, hand trembling as he held a glass of water, a far cry from the image of a powerful airline mogul. Across from him sat Darius King, arms folded, posture straight, eyes sharp as blades. Behind him stood Andre Lawson, Kiara Johnson, and Sophia Reyes, a wall of resolve. Pierce broke the silence, voice heavy and low. "Mr. King, I admit our mistakes. We let Mercer and Fortress manipulate us. I am sorry. I beg you not to destroy National Airlines. Tens of thousands of employees and their families would lose everything." Darius raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Pierce, the issue isn't whether I can destroy your company. The issue is that your company chose to shield wrongdoing instead of defending fairness. Do you expect me to stay quiet, sign an NDA, and take a few $1 million in exchange for dignity?" Pierce stayed silent, eyes wandering, then returned with a desperate plea. "I'll offer $10 million and an internal reform program. But please, keep it out of the press. If you go public, we won't survive." Andre cut in, voice cold. "Mr. Pierce, with what we have, video, witnesses, emails from Fortress, going public is only a matter of time. You're in no position to bargain." Darius rose slowly, stepping closer to the table, eyes fixed on Pierce. "I don't want your money. I want change. If National Airlines wants to survive, you will commit to 3 things: a public apology, and admission of wrongdoing, mandatory anti-bias training with quarterly transparency reports, and the appointment of a chief diversity and equity officer with equal authority to the COO. Pierce's face drained of color. "That will cause a shareholder revolt." "No," Darius replied, voice like steel. "It will show shareholders this company has a chance to survive. The public will never forgive cover-ups. They only forgive those who admit their wrongs and choose to fix them." Just as the air grew thick, Sophia's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, then gave a signal. Breaking news flashed across. Fortress whistleblower reveals CEO Harrington directly ordered National Airlines incident. The files from Jeremy Collins' USB had reached the press. Major outlets published Harrington's emails and recordings instructing Mercer. The room seemed to tremble with the revelation. Kiara let out a cold smile. Fortress just buried itself. Now, Mr. Pierce, will you still stand on their side? Pierce shook, then slumped, shoulders collapsing. Fine. I'll comply. Darius extended his hand, not for a handshake, but to lay down a file of reform terms on the table. Sign this, and prepare for a joint press conference. There's no other way out. Pierce stared at the papers, sweat dripping down his temple. Then, drained of strength, he signed. Andre nodded. Tomorrow, National Airlines will appear alongside Darius King. This will be the event that reshapes the entire industry. That night, the team gathered in the war room. Sophia reported, Fortress stock has plunged another 40%. Investors are fleeing. The Department of Justice has opened a preliminary investigation into competitive sabotage. Harrington is now being hunted. Daniel Wu added, We've dragged a snake into the light, but remember, it will thrash before it dies. Darius looked around the table. His team's eyes glowed with faith, but beneath it, he saw the wear of long, grueling days. He spoke softly. Tomorrow, we don't just end this fight. We begin a new era. A first-class seat can never again be a privilege of skin color. Late that night, Darius returned to his hotel room. He opened the window, the cold wind rushing in. In the mirror, he saw a man aged by days of storm, but with eyes brighter than ever. His phone buzzed. A message from his mother. Son, your father would be smiling somewhere. You chose to be the right man. Darius closed his eyes, a tired but proud smile crossing his lips. Tomorrow, when the flashbulbs erupted in the press room, the world would witness a black CEO turning humiliation into a revolution. The next morning, the Drake Hotel became the center of global media. Outside, hundreds of reporters lined up, camera flashes bursting without pause. Inside, the press hall was packed to the brim, rows of seats crammed with cameras, microphones, and expectant eyes. Darius King stepped out from backstage. He wore a charcoal gray suit, his face weary from days of turmoil, but his eyes burned bright like fire. Behind him were Andre, Kiara, Sophia, and Daniel. To the right of the podium sat Franklin Pierce, CEO of National Airlines, his expression tense yet resolute. Murmurs rose like a tide, but when Darius placed his hand on the microphone, the room fell silent. Ladies and gentlemen, Darius began, his voice deep and resonant. 5 days ago, I was dragged from seat 2A while holding a valid ticket. But what happened was not just a personal humiliation. It was proof of a sickness in the system, discrimination, bias, and disregard for human dignity. The clicks of cameras filled the silence. Darius paused, eyes locking on the press. Today, I am not standing here to speak only for myself. I am standing here for everyone who has ever been pushed from a place that was rightfully theirs because of the color of their skin, their gender, or any other prejudice. Franklin Pierce rose to his feet, his face taut but his voice steady. On behalf of National Airlines, I apologize to Mr. King and to every passenger who has ever been treated unjustly. We will not cover this up. We will reform. He read aloud a pledge for the cameras. mandatory anti-bias training for all employees, the creation of a Chief Diversity and Equity Officer, and quarterly public reports on discrimination complaints. The press hall erupted in shock. For the first time in history, a major airline had bowed publicly, admitted its mistakes, and promised reform in front of the world. Andre signaled. The screen behind them lit up, displaying emails and recordings from Jeremy Collins's USB. Harrington's voice rang out, cold and commanding. "Make sure King doesn't make it to the meeting. Do whatever it takes." Murmurs swelled into a storm. A reporter shouted, "Mr. King, what price will Fortress pay?" Darius answered simply, each word striking like a hammer. "They will pay with the truth." At that very moment, breaking news flashed on reporters' phones. The Department of Justice had officially opened an investigation into Fortress for competitive sabotage and systemic discrimination. Fortress stock plummeted in free fall. Emma Blackwell, the 72-year-old woman, was invited to the podium. Leaning on her cane, her voice trembling yet her eyes blazing, she declared, "I once stayed silent when I saw injustice, both in the past and on that flight. But today, I will not stay silent. I saw it, I heard it, and I confirm, they orchestrated this to humiliate Mr. King." The press hall exploded with applause. A small but courageous witness had shaken an entire system. When the applause subsided, Darius bowed his head, his voice low but resonant. Seat 2A is not just a seat. It is a symbol. A seat for fairness, for dignity, for the right to be seen. Today, we are not just protecting one seat. We are protecting the principle that no one can be diminished simply for being different. In that moment, camera flashes blazed, capturing the image of Darius standing alongside Franklin Pierce and Emma Blackwell, three people from three different worlds, united in one commitment: change. When the press conference ended, cheers still echoed in the hallway. Darius stepped into the lounge and collapsed into a chair. Andre placed a hand on his shoulder. "You just rewrote history. But remember, this battle is only beginning." Darius smiled faintly, weary yet proud. "I do not seek war, but if war comes, I will turn it into an opportunity for change." Within hours, the stock market witnessed an extraordinary shift. Fortress lost more than half its value. Sentinel Shield and White Tech, in contrast, surged, hailed everywhere as a technology alliance for justice. National Airlines, instead of collapsing, regained public trust with its transparency. Passengers began to speak out. "I'll keep flying with them, because at least they had the courage to admit their wrongs." That night, Darius stood alone by the window of his high-rise apartment, Chicago's lights glittering like stars. His phone buzzed with a message from his mother. "Son, your father would be proud, not because you won, but because you did what was right." He closed his eyes, letting the emotions rise. Deep down, he knew the fight for justice was far from over. But today, he had turned humiliation into a turning point. He whispered, "Seat 2A was never just a seat. It is a reminder that everyone deserves a place in this world. In a world where a single seat can expose an entire system, Darius King proved that dignity is not a privilege, it is a birthright. One silent refusal, one step taken with his back straight, transformed humiliation into a symbol of justice. This story reminds us that success, wealth, and power are never enough to shield you from prejudice. But it is steadfastness and courage that can make the world itself change. If you have ever witnessed injustice right before your eyes, what would you do? Stay silent, or stand tall like Darius? If you believe that respect should be the default, not a privilege, hit like to help this story spread. Don't forget to subscribe so you can journey with us in the stories to come, where truth will be revealed and justice will never be forgotten. And leave a comment with just 2 words, human dignity, to remind us all that no matter who you are, you deserve a place in this world.